knees shaking on my thigh. Post me a pic, finna make me a profit. When the liquor hit, then the gets.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Mawoman podcast, where we talk all things dance, sensuality, sexuality, movement, creativity, expression, freedom. I could go on, but I won't because I do it every time and it's gonna get annoying eventually. My name is Olivia. I am one of two co-hosts, and across from me I have
Kira. Hello, friends.
Me and Kira are here to talk to you today about finding your passion and pursuing your dreams. A very, I guess, cheesy topic, but
a lot to talk about.
A lot to talk about. Very important. I think I love talking about this stuff. I also love bringing sort of actionable steps and tips to the listeners. And some of it might feel kind of like common sense, basic knowledge to some people. And then some of it might be new to you or might have you looking at something in a different way, which I think will be really great. So just keep in mind that some things come more naturally to certain people and some things don't. So maybe you'll learn something new, try something new, give yourself the permission to just go for your freaking dreams. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So I've broken it down into 8 steps, 8 tips, if you will, to get you first finding your passion if you don't know what it is, and then B, able to pursue that passion, pursue those dreams in a way that feels confident and good to you. All right. So let's get into step number 1. I was thinking about my journey and what made me feel good and confident and ready to go and pursue my dreams. And quick disclaimer that I don't think you're ever going to feel fully ready. We talked about this in a previous episode. If you can get yourself
80%.
Thank you. 80% rule. If
I'm
you
a
can
great student.
You're a great listener, Kira. If you can get your dreams or whatever it is that you're building to 80% of the way there, put it out there and get going, because you're never going to feel 100% ready. We'll put that out there again. But as I was building up to that 80%, I've been reflecting on the steps to get me there. And the first thing that I realized really primed me in my journey to get to the point where I was confident putting something out there was step number 1, give yourself all the love and encouragement. So you need to believe that you are inherently worthy of your dreams, of these wonderful things that can happen to you. You need to believe that you're worthy of building something, that you're worthy of being on a cruise ship, dancing, whatever it is that you're hopefully, but you know you're worthy of it.
I really think this episode's going to help me because I'm currently trying to chase my dreams.
Welcome to Kira's Dream Chasing podcast, where we break down how she can get her ass on a cruise ship, except for I'm going to subconsciously sabotage her because I don't want her to go and follow those dreams. But that's a story for another time.
I will always come back.
All right, whatever. So make sure that you first truly believe in yourself. Sounds basic, sounds cheesy, but it's super important. And it's not only on an intellectual level, right? We can all sit here and be like, yeah, I believe in myself. I can achieve these dreams. It's also on a deeper subconscious level. So what is the message that you truly believe on a subconscious level about yourself? For me and Kira, I'll let you talk about yourself next as well. But I am lucky enough to have grown up in a home where my parents, from day frickin' 1 of birth, basically ingrained in me that I can do whatever I set my mind to. I had full freedom to pursue all my interests, and they let me know that they believed in me. And as a child, that's incredibly important to receive that information and then believe in yourself subsequently because your parents believe in you. And if you maybe come from a home where you didn't get that kind of support, or you had parents that were pushing a specific path for you or a specific career, you might have to look deeper and reflect on what is the programming that I received from my parents, from my family, my guardians, whatever it is, about what I can and should do in this world. If I really truly want to be an artist, and it's been just drilled into me that I need to work in finance at a big investment bank, I'm probably going to have some limiting beliefs in my mind around that and not truly believe, even if I can sit here and say, yeah, I want to be an artist, I'm going to be an artist. I think you're probably going to have to do a little bit more internal work, meditation, just really affirmations, whatever it is to build that up so that you truly believe you are deserving and worthy of that career that you want. So I think that I do that for myself. I definitely make an effort to build myself up in that way, give myself all the affirmations, just because I grew up in a family where I was supported no matter what I would choose. It doesn't mean I didn't have my own doubts and my own self-consciousness, right? So I still had to work on it, but I think I did have to work on career a bit less than other areas in my life. So for some reason, as a counterexample, for me, in relationships, love and relationships, that's always been something where I doubted myself a lot more. I didn't inherently on a subconscious level feel that I was deserving of a loving relationship. And I've had to do a lot of work and reflection on that as to why. So that's something for me that didn't come as easily as career did. So for you, listener, you might have something like love and relationships where you just succeed and you have a beautiful, everything, and that's never been an issue for you. But maybe in career, you've doubted yourself and you haven't been able to figure out where you want to go with that. So everyone has a different strength and a different experience with certain areas of life. So for me with career, I definitely have had to do work on it. But for the most part, I think I've always just kind of inherently felt that I could do what I set my mind to.
Yeah.
Do you have a similar experience?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm exactly like Olivia. We both come from very healthy family backgrounds. My parents have always supported me. I've been dancing since I was a little kid, and I've literally, my dream when I was 9 years old was to go on So That You Can Dance. If you know the show.
My gosh.
That was my favorite show ever, and I was like, one day I will be on that stage. Granted, it became a show that was not as good as it used to be back in the 2000s, but I've just always wanted to dance, and I never got any backlash from my family. It was always like, great, we're going to support you, do whatever you need to get you to follow your dreams and to get you one step closer. So thankfully, I've just never had an issue with that, and I love my parents very much for always supporting me, especially because there's a lot of, growing up, it's like, oh, you're going to be a dancer, you're not going to make any money growing up, which is just so great to say. I make a living off of dancing now. I love that. Thanks, Olivia.
You're welcome.
So yeah, it's kind of like, okay, you're going to be a dancer, but you're not going to make a lot of money. So I think for me, a lot of my self-doubt in my brain is because I've just never thought that I'd be somebody that makes good amount of money. Like, I feel like I've always just kind of thought, I'm going to make enough money doing, like, surviving, basically. But I'm doing what I love, so it literally doesn't matter. But things that I've realized now that I can make a lot of money dancing, and granted, we're living in a very expensive city, but I'm doing it, and I'm doing it now, and I continue to make more and more money every year, and it's really nice. So that for me, that's what's growing up. I was like, okay, I've just kind of accepted that I won't make a lot of money, and that would scare me sometimes to follow my dreams. But then at the bottom line, it's always been dance. I've said that before in other podcasts. It's always been me and dance, and I've never, ever questioned that I wasn't supposed to dance in my life and that wasn't what I was going to do. And a lot of people don't feel that way with their passion, or they don't get it at such a young age. So I feel very blessed that I did get to experience that.
Yeah.
So that's me. I was also going to say, now that I went on that tangent, I kind of forget how this went back. But we're talking about following your dreams. And I think, and you mentioned the relationships. I think when people will first read this, they automatically think, okay, my dreams means my career, equals my career. Then you mentioned a relationship, and I think it's really pretty it's special to like take a step back and think that you can have multiple dreams. Like, I have a dream of being a dancer, but I also have a dream of having a family one day, of marrying somebody one day. And you can focus, maybe you don't know what your passion is of something tangible or a sport or something, but maybe you have a passion of taking care of kids one day, or have a passion of going through life with a significant other and putting your energy into creating a beautiful relationship. So that can be another dream that you work on that way. It doesn't necessarily need to be a career.
That's so true. So well said. And I think a really important point to make, because dreams do not need to be just career. I think the way we set up this podcast, we're kind of looking at it in the lens of a job or career or anything like that, but definitely take everything that we're talking about and apply it to whatever that dream is for you. Because yes, exactly what you said. I have this dream career-wise and goals career-wise, and I have another dream here. You don't need to just have one dream. You can have multiple dreams, right? And truly, like, to be feminist is to respect all dreams, right? A woman that wants to be a housewife is just as inherently valuable as a woman who wants to run a business empire, and there's no separating those two. And this is actually a debate that's going on TikTok a lot right now that I see is the remaking of a lot of Disney princess movies. I think the most recent Snow White remake is there's no prince coming in to save her or anything like that. And she's, you know, and people are like, but why? You're changing the fundamental of the story. And there's nothing wrong with the way Snow White was before. She doesn't need to be this boss bitch leader to bring value, right? There's so many stories to tell about women, and you don't need to take away the dreams of one woman to lift up the dreams of another. They're all inherently valuable.
Yes.
Cool. Love.
I'm thinking about all the main character of Snow White. I don't know her name, but she was getting backlash from interviews that she did, and that's what started that whole conversation. And
I was seeing some of those interviews as well, and
they were kind of playing.
It's super interesting. So to go back to your other point, I also think that's a really cool gray area that you said. It was always dance for you, but you also received some programming about you're not going to make money doing that. And that was a message that you received. So that's a good thing to look for as well as you're kind of reflecting on whatever messaging you've received on your own individual dreams. It doesn't need to be, I can't do this thing. It could also be, you can do that thing, but you might be poor for the rest of your life, or you might be on an artist, starving artist budget or whatever. And, that's not necessarily true. You can find a lot of creative ways to make money out of the things that you love. So really deep dive into that and figure out what messaging you have that's just looping in your mind that you can change. What advice would you give to people to change that? I kind of mentioned affirmations, meditation. I've plugged To Be Magnetic, which is the company that I use, a manifestation process. Do you have any tips for people?
Well, my biggest one, we've talked about it in the podcast that was just posted, that goes back to affirmations. I think, being able, when you fully believe in yourself, that's when you're going to start seeing changes and changing the world. Outside of that, it's like when you hear negative things, my advice is to not listen. It's like, if you know yourself, you know what you want, you know who you want to be, that's what matters. And if you are taking steps closer to becoming the person you want to be and being the best version of yourself, then literally nothing else matters. Who cares if someone tells me I'm going to be poor one day? Great, I'm doing what I love. I don't care. I'm going to go find ways to make money and do et cetera, et cetera. Affirmations are a big thing. I mean, if you're doing what you truly love to do, I don't think anything else will matter. Yeah,
I think affirmations are the key to get you there, probably because I think it's easy for us to say, just don't listen, but for someone that's not at that state yet, it's not easy to just say, just don't listen to the haters. Like, you're going to internalize that if you haven't truly worked through it yourself, which is why you need to do the internal work, the healing yourself, to get to the point where external pressures and factors are not going to sway you.
I truly, I know it's hard for some people, but there's just, somebody is always going to be judging you.
Oh, for
always,
sure.
Every single day. And the second you realize that you just got to get over it, and even though I know that that can be so hard and so difficult, it's like, you have one life to live. Please don't waste it thinking about what other people are thinking about you. Like, they got their own life to worry about. They're probably hating you behind a screen or whatever the case may be. Like, you have one life to live, and if you are feeling like you're living it the way you want to live it, then just ignore everything else, even though I know it's so hard, but it's like, it's something you have to accept.
It's a muscle you can build.
Yeah,
so for
100%.
me, recovering perfectionist, which we've talked about before, receiving judgment and letting it go, it just takes that first time to do it, to let it go. And then you realize the second time, okay, I already did this once. I didn't die. Nothing bad happened. My business still lives on, whatever it is that you're afraid of people judging. The next time it's a little bit easier to let it go. And the next time it's a little bit easier.
Ongoing
it's
process.
A process.
Yeah. And we've said this before. I think people think, okay, one day you're going to wake up and just nothing's ever going to bother you. You're not going to ever think about like other people judging you, which isn't the case. We still get criticism and feedback that hurts our souls a little bit, but we move on from it, and we get so many other comments that are fine, and we know that what we're doing is good, et cetera, et cetera. So it's an ongoing process that you have to continually work on. You have to continually work on yourself to continue to be the best version of yourself. You're going to evolve every single day, every single year.
Love that. Period. And look at the big picture too. Like, for all the negative comment or judgment or whatever, how many more positive impacts you're making. And if you can reconcile it with that, what is that for you? If just you can impact one person positively, then I can receive 10 negative comments or something like that, you know? Just think about it for yourself. Dear listener, that's what I'm talking to right now. All right, awesome. Cool. So my next point to kind of keep discovering that passion for those of us that maybe don't know what it is yet is, what did you like doing as a kid? What did your inner child want? What does your inner child want? What did you do as a kid just for the pure freaking joy of it? Zero external pressure, no pressure to make money, nothing like that. What was that for you? And surprise, surprise, for me and Kira, it was dancing. But I also will add, obviously it's dancing because I run a freaking dance studio now. For me, it was performing as well. I actually really wanted to be on Disney Channel. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be an actor. I just wanted to be famous more than anything. And I think that that's almost kind of an embarrassing thing to admit. And I still have those desires as well. I think what it is now in adulthood is I just want to be recognized and respected. And I want to build something and I want to perform for people. And I've found a way to do that without being in movies or on a TV or in music videos or whatever. That is my version of performing and all of that. But that's what I loved to do when I was a kid. I wanted to be the center of attention. Sorry, it's just true. I wanted to be the center of attention. I wanted to be running the show. I wanted to be performing for people. I wanted to be entertaining people. But at a very young age, I stopped all of that. And I just was in school and in sports and wasn't in musical theater. I wasn't taking acting classes. Actually, speaking of supportive parents, they took me out of acting because they didn't want me to be a child star. So they kind of crushed that dream, but but it was for the best. It was for the best. That probably wouldn't have been the best path for me at the time. But yeah, I think that for a long time, I neglected that part of myself because it feels like an attention-seeking, weird thing that you're embarrassed to admit to people.
I was just going to say, I thought this, you apologized for saying wanting to be the center of attention.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's okay. It's really okay. And people think of center of attention being like, you're taking it all away. There's different ways to think about it. Like when both my siblings got married this year and I was the center of attention who got everyone on the dance floor. I like doing it because it gets we get to perform, we get to dance, where I bring everybody together onto the dance floor. You bring everybody, we both teach. We bring everybody together in our cardio classes, and yeah, we're the center of attention, we're the teacher, but it's in a beautiful way. It doesn't need to be, you're the center of attention, you need...
No, 100%. And
it's okay.
You're right. I think I only said sorry now because that's what I would have done in the past, but I ain't sorry no more. Yeah, so that's definitely what I was leaning toward as a child. And, I think most kids want some kind of, they make up dances with their cousins and perform it for the family or something like that.
I did that so much. To Dynamite by Tayo Cruz.
Yeah. So what are those things for you that when you were a kid, you found yourself wanting to do? Tell me about yours, Kira.
I've again, always been dancing.
Yeah.
As much as I love performing and I love teaching, I've always loved choreographing my entire life. I was 9 years old. I would spend all day in my piano room choreographing dances, like two and a half minute dances.
Wow.
And then at the end of the day, I would bring my family in and be like, you gotta watch me dance. And then they'd watch me dance. I was always choreographing. And then even when I'm not physically dancing, I'd be in a car ride. This was obviously when I couldn't drive. So we'd be going on long car rides, or I would be on an airplane. I would shuffle music and I would close my eyes, and all I would do is picture dances, picture choreography in my brain. And then I'd go back to the beginning of the song and do it again and try to come up with that dance. And then when I had the time to go back into the piano room, I would try to do what was in my brain and fix it. And yeah, I was just always choreographing. Kind of forget where I was going with this. What was the question?
No, that was perfect. I was just asking you about what you like doing as a kid,
great.
but you led me, unless you have more to add, you led me perfectly.
That was perfect.
Okay. That goes so perfectly with the next point that I had, because I wanted to prompt people to think about where their brain goes and what they do when their brain is in a resting position, right? When you're in sort of an unconscious or just sort of not hypnotic, but relaxed state. So driving, obviously you're driving and you're alert, but because you're focused on one task, your brain is able to wander a lot more. And I think that a lot of people have this experience. I know Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, when she needed business ideas or inspiration or had a problem she was stuck with, she would get in the car and drive until she solved the problem, because something about occupying your physical body with a task at hand allows your brain, because it's something that we're just all so used to, and you can kind of go on autopilot a little bit. And it allows your brain to think in a different, more creative way. You can just pull from these different areas of your brain. And I had the exact same experience long before I was ever a dancer, before I had Madhouse, before I even knew Madhouse was what I wanted to do. Years after quitting dance as a kid, I would just be randomly driving, making up dances in my head, listening to music. And keep in mind, I do not go to dance class. I don't have a studio. I don't have anywhere to put these dances. I never even actually danced them in my own body. But for some reason in my brain, as I was driving, I was choreographing and I was dancing those moves in my mind. And I was imagining a dancer, not myself, because I didn't think I was a dancer. I was imagining a dancer doing my moves. And I think that should have been my first sign. And I think it honestly was probably the first seed that was planted, was that I just loved the idea of creating dances so much that my brain just did it when it had nothing else to think about, you know? And that's a really important push in the right direction. Yeah. So I can't speak to other people's experiences, but I imagine that other people, when their brain is in that state, they think of different things. So what is that thing for you that when your brain can just kind of turn off for a sec, what wants to come through? You know, it's like an intuitive hit. Like what is your soul pushing toward you? Okay, and number 4 that I wanted to bring up was, what are you scared of doing? So I think that obviously we're not talking about if you're scared of heights, go and bungee jump over and over again. That's not the kind of fear that I'm talking about, although that could be good exposure therapy, I guess, if you want to, if you're scared of heights. But it's more, maybe you've found that passion, right? So now we're getting to the point where, okay, you have your passion, you have those interests, and you think you might want to take it somewhere. But now that's really scary because, well, what do I do? What if I want to do something? What if I pursue it and it fails? And once you get that feeling, that's when you know that's the right move. That's where you want to go. You want to follow that fear and figure out a way you can pursue that fear and just start jumping off cliffs, metaphorically speaking, not really speaking. But yeah, I think that once you feel that fear or that worry of, oh my gosh, this is scary now because this means a lot to me, that just means that you care about what you're doing. Do you have examples of your dreams where you felt like you were scared to pursue them, but you did?
To answer that question, my bottom line, I kind of, yeah, there probably has been fears, but the bottom line is no, because I again, it's always been me and dance. I've just always known that's what I want to do. But something that has been coming up for me really recently, like in therapy lately, I've always had so many dreams and ideas for me and my relationship with dance. And now that I'm growing up, I'm deciding which path I want to go on. And that's what's stressing me out. And I have a fear, FOMO, I have like a fear of missing out on something, which is really weird because when my therapist said to me the word FOMO, I was like, I've never had FOMO. I don't care if my friends hang out without me. I don't care if I miss out on a party that the rest of the school was going to in high school, whatever the case may be. I've just never had FOMO. But I have it with dance. If I've always wanted to be a Rockette, but now I think maybe I don't really have a desire to go to New York City as much anymore. Things are kind of changing. I could be a showgirl in Moulin Rouge in Paris. I could go on a cruise ship and travel. But whatever I pick takes me away from Madhouse, and I'd be missing out from Madhouse. But if I stay here, I'm missing out on all these dreams that I've had my whole life. I could go to LA and I could do gigs, yada, yada. But either way, I'm always missing on something, some idea that I have in my brain. And it's really hard for me to just choose a path, choose which dream. Either way, I'm doing my dream.
You just have too many.
It's just too many. It's like you choosing which path for your life to go on, which is such a big deal. Like, it's just, there's so much that goes into it, and it could alter so many things in my life. And I'm like, I'm afraid I'm gonna miss out on something.
Oh, you don't need to be afraid. You don't need to be afraid. I mean, I can't give you fully unbiased advice because obviously I want you to stay here because that's selfish of me. But I think that you need to trust that you're not going to miss out. Wherever you end up is exactly where you're supposed to be.
That's what I've been telling myself with my daily affirmations.
There's no other option. Like, it's all part of the path that you're meant to be on. I mean, I'm a believer in everything happens for a reason.
Yeah,
I don't
me
know
too.
if you are, because I think
100%.
about my life and all the things that would be different if one thing that I was upset about years ago didn't happen the way it happened. Definitely wouldn't be here. You know, you can just trace things back to a certain event and the butterfly effect that they have. And I understand that you might feel like you're missing out on certain dreams, but I really don't think you need to worry about it. First of all, you're still 23. You've got a long way to go. But second of all, I'm saying that as if I'm like 40. I'm only 27. I got a long way to go too.
Everybody wish Liv a late happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, yesterday was my birthday. It was the best freaking weekend ever. We should talk about that after the episode.
This is going to get posted so many weeks after your birthday.
Oh, you know what? True. Yeah, but I really want you to just give yourself the freedom and the ability to trust yourself without having any doubts. You are... As long as you're enjoying the present moment, there's no wrong answer.
Yeah, and I am, and I know that's what's important, and I know I will end up wherever I'm supposed to.
Got it.
But the future's scary.
Yeah. So I like that. And I think my fear that I had with my dream is a little bit of a different kind of fear. So once I had the idea for Madhouse, for example, the immediate fear of, oh, I'm doing this. I've already told all my friends about it, all my family. This could very well fail. I have not proven this concept. I don't know if this is going to work. I've never taught a dance class in my life. Lots of things that can stack up and lead to fear of failure. But to me, the way to combat that fear of failure is to ask yourself the question, if I didn't do it, how would I feel at the end of my life? Or how would I feel in 10 years if I didn't do this? How would I feel if someone else did the thing that I want to do and I saw them doing it? For me, the answer was, if someone took this idea that I had and I saw it 5, 10, because I knew it was a good idea. I couldn't believe that it came to me, you know what I mean, in the time that it did, because there really wasn't that much out there.
Everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason. And a lot of people, especially if you're an entrepreneur or whatever it is that you're trying to build, a lot of people will come at you with, well, if it's such a great idea, why hasn't someone done it yet? Why hasn't it been done yet? And so I kind of was thinking that to myself, why hasn't this really been done in the way that I'm imagining it? And you can basically infuse a lot of self-doubt. But the bottom line was I had no option but to do it. The only way I could get rid of that fear was to realize that if I didn't do it, I would regret it forever. If I did do it and failed, there's my answer. That's it. Like, it would suck to fail. Obviously, nobody wants to fail. But that is so much more of a victory than never trying in the first place. Because I think the regret that you would feel for not pursuing your dream, I think that that's the worst pain a human could feel.
Yeah, it's going to overweigh literally everything else.
Absolutely. And so I'm not here saying try your dream, like every single dream is going to succeed. I don't think that's the case. I think there was a very real possibility that what I built wasn't going to work out. And even now, we're launching a second studio. Like, that's happening now. That's actually big news to announce right now. It'll probably be announced by this time this podcast airs anyway. But I just got word 2 days ago that second studio is launching. And that feels super scary to me, because now, after building Madhouse, the first studio, there feels like there's a lot to lose. And this one could fail. There's always a risk that you have to take. But again, I'm thinking about it, and I have the same exact feeling that I had with the first one, which is I don't have a choice. Obviously I do, but I don't. In my mind, I don't, because if I don't do it, I will always wonder what would have happened if I had expanded to a second studio.
I just got all giddy inside. I'm so excited.
It gets down to a point where if you truly have something that you're passionate about and you want to build, it's an easy decision. You have to just go for it. And I know sometimes it's easier said than done. There's a lot of risk that goes into it, but if you want to build something, you got to take calculated risks and you got to just go for it.
And you'll end up where you're supposed to.
And if it fails, we end up where we're supposed to. I don't think it's going to fail, but
I don't think it's going to fail. It ain't going to fail.
But let that fear guide you. Know that if you feel that fear, you're probably in the right place, and ask yourself, if I don't do this, what am I going to feel in a few years? And usually the answer is I'll feel a lot of regret. And so if that's the case, you got to jump off that cliff, baby. You got to do it. You got to take the leap of faith.
Just do it. Nike
Just
swoosh.
do it. That was actually my next one, was take the leap of faith. And kind of going into, so number 5, take the leap of faith. That's the next step. And then number 6, take small daily steps today, right now. So I think a leap of faith can sound really scary, and I don't think that you need to quit your job and immediately dive into launching a business. I think that it's a much more gradual process than that. By the way, I'm sorry, I keep using business as an example. These dreams can be anyone. I'm obviously using my own experience as reference, but I don't think you need to quit your job and go pursue your dream, whatever that is, right now after hearing this podcast. That's not like what we're saying to do. But I think mentally you take that leap of faith and you start taking those small daily steps to get you there. So for me, as soon as I had the idea, I immediately signed up for a Zumba certification to go get Zumba certified. I didn't know what else to do. I had never taught a dance fitness class. It was the only type of dance fitness I was familiar with. So that was the first step that I took. I went and I did that. Never taught a Zumba class after that. But then I continued to just learn choreography off of YouTube and try to understand how people were teaching these classes, and just teaching myself the knowledge that I needed to then create my own classes in my own format. And that was a super gradual process over about 8 months. So, and it's still, years into the studio, I feel like we're still tweaking things. We're still coming up with new ideas. And so it's a work in progress always. And you can continue to take small steps to get you closer and closer to the end goal or whatever it is you want. But yeah, just taking the steps that you can today, not waiting for tomorrow, not waiting for next week, not waiting for whatever. Today, what can you do to get you one little, doesn't matter how big the step is, one little step closer to your dream?
This might be kind of stupid to add, but just to give another example to listeners that doesn't have to do with career. To give an example with like relationships, my boyfriend and I have been dating for a little over 2 years, and I see a future with him. Obviously, I'm still with him, but like every month, I mean, life is hard. We live very separate lives. He's a finance bro. I'm a dancer. We live very opposite lives.
It's a beautiful comparison, though.
He works the classic 9 to 5. I'm teaching at night. Very different, separate lives. But we always try to do so, working on our future and just like making sure that we still maintain a good connection and we still have a very healthy relationship even after 2 years, which isn't even a lot of time in the grand scheme of things. I know that. We're still very young, blah, blah, blah. But we try to do 2 dates a month. So at the beginning of every month, we sit down and we pick 2 dates. We just try to do one that's outside that creates that I need money for, like a dinner date or going something outside. And then one inside one of our houses that doesn't cost a lot of money, like a movie date, or we both were big board game people. So we play board games, have a game night, that type of thing. So so not talking about career all the time. It can just be working on your relationship. If you have a dream of marrying somebody one day or creating a family or just having a true, really, really strong connection with your significant other, what are the daily steps you can take to create that relationship now to build you to your dream of having that family one day?
Yes, I love that. So well said. I can say the same thing for me. I'm not in a relationship right now, but that is one of my dreams, is to be in a partnership and to have a family one day. And especially with partnership and relationship, that is a hard one because for me with career, I feel like I've always just been able to have so much control over career, right? Which is maybe why it comes easy to me is because I'm a little bit of a control freak and I can take all these actions that are just laid out and work really hard. And if you work really hard, you'll succeed. And it's almost the opposite with relationships, right? Like you have to just let things go.
You're in control of your career too because you are your own boss.
Right, exactly. Very true.
And that's, you got to work with somebody when you get into a partnership. It's
so
you
that's
and
definitely
them equal 50-50.
a lesson that I teach myself, but I put myself out there in the ways that I can, and I take steps toward that dream in the way that I can today, right? So I'm single right now, but I make an effort to go on dates, usually at least once a week.
It's actually really beautiful. Your commit, like watching you the past year of just being open and saying yes to dates with people blows my mind.
Thank you.
Dedication.
I mean, you've got to just put yourself out there in the ways that you can, because as long as you do that, then you can let go and be like, if it's not happening, it's not meant to be, you know? But I think that, I just make an effort to put myself out there because I know that that's something that I want. So I'm going to do what I can to get it with the recognition that I can't control every little element of that. And that's just the way that life is, and that's fine. But yeah, I love that you brought a different element of life into it. I think that that's very wise.
I can sit here and talk about dance all day, but let's give the listeners
Let's talk
something
about
else to
dating.
talk about.
Let's give juicy gossip. No. Awesome. Okay, cool. Okay, one more element that I want to add into this take small daily steps step is to visualize yourself doing that dream, whatever it is. So if it's a relationship, if it's starting a business, if it's starting an art business, if it's being a dancer, whatever it is that is your dream, picture yourself doing it, whether that's in meditation, whatever method works for you. But there's so much science to back up the power of visualizing something and then it happening. One of my favorite examples is there's a lot of studies about people so take an experiment. You have a control group that's actually doing physical exercises, right? So take like bicep curls, and they're doing these physical exercises and the study is tracking their muscle strength throughout the process. Then you have another group that is just mentally rehearsing it, visualizing the exercise in their mind. And the results of the study show that obviously the people who are physically doing the exercise gain muscle mass the most, but the group that was just visualizing it also gained muscle mass from just doing the exercise in their mind. So the power of mental rehearsal and doing things in your mind and picturing yourself and creating your own reality in that way has a physical effect in the real world. Like you can create your reality in a way by creating it in your mind first. And we've talked, like Ashley DeLuna last week was talking about how the mind can energetically heal the body. You know, there's just so much that we don't understand about this world. And I think the mysticism and the magic that's behind it. And you guys know, if you've been listening, that I'm a little bit spiritual and woo-woo and whatever. So I won't get too deep into that. But I just think it's really cool that there's actual studies and science to back up the power of the mind and its effect on your physical reality. So if you have a dream that you're working toward, that's one step that you can take, is start visualizing yourself at your end goal, or if not at your end goal, just your next step goal. You know, like start picturing yourself where you want to be, however far that is, and whatever dream you're talking about. Like I can visualize myself in a loving relationship, walking down the beach, holding hands with my man. And watch, it's gonna happen next week, baby. Maybe. Anything to add to that?
I think that was beautifully said.
All
and
right.
exactly what I was thinking. So
Perfect. Awesome. All right, let's get into number 7. We've got 2 more, 7 and 8. So number 7, find people who inspire you and realize that if they can do it, you can do it too. So really make an effort to seek out people that you admire, people that are doing what you want. So if we're going to take it back to relationships, find people in a loving relationship that you admire, that you can look at and be like, that's possible. I can have that. I'm not even saying this just because you're sitting in front of me. I constantly think about you and Joe when I'm in my meditations or whatever, when I'm visualizing the type of relationship that I want one day. I use you two as an example because I don't know Joe that well, but I know you super well, and everything that you've shared about your relationship is really inspiring to me, and it shows me that that is possible, and I relate a lot to you. So find a person that you relate a lot to and you see yourself in, and realize that if it's possible for them, it's possible for you. So you're a really big inspiration to me in that way. Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too. And for career, when I was first launching Madhouse, Sarah Blakely was a huge person for me. I mean, she's miles ahead of where Madhouse is right now. She's the youngest self-made billionaire. I don't know if she's the youngest woman self-made billionaire or youngest self-made billionaire, period. Who knows? But I just related to her and her story so much. And even though I don't know her personally, I really used her as an inspiration as I was building my business. So I think that's a really key step, is to find people that you relate to in one way or another, see yourself in them, see what they've done, and realize that you can do it.
And to add to that, because you don't necessarily know these people, you don't know Sarah Blakely, surround yourself with people who support you and your dreams, whatever those are. That's also, having a support system can really help, and just getting kind words from people that you know and little reminders that you can do it that aren't only coming from you can also help. So support system and looking at people who inspire you.
I love that.
If they do it, you can do it.
Yes. Perfect. Awesome. And number 8, the final just little tip here: give yourself permission to pivot and change course. So Kira, I think you can kind of speak to this because, as Kira touched on earlier, she is finding that her dreams might be adjusting or changing as her life goes on. And I think that what I just would want to tell you, and what I'm sure you already know, is to give yourself that flexibility and grace to realize that you're allowed to change, and you're allowed to follow a path that is different than what you initially expected, because it's probably the path you're meant to be on. You don't need to fight and go against the grain to live your best life.
I think, well, there's 2 things to say. Part of that for me is hard. I think we talked about this in one of the episodes, of just my personality. Like, I put something in my mind and I'm set to that, and I need to accomplish that. So part of me, I've been saying I wanted to be a Rockette my whole life. I've been saying I want to dance on a cruise ship my whole life. I'm saying yada yada. I've just had all these dreams set, and I feel like I need to accomplish them for my younger self. But I don't necessarily know where I want dance to lead me. And you actually, when I was talking about this a few weeks ago, I've always put dance and travel together. And I was talking to you, and I was like, I just want to dance and travel. And you literally looked at me and you were like, okay, well, you're dancing now, so like go travel.
Go on a vacation.
And I was like, oh my God, I've never separated the two. Like,
you were only thinking you could travel if you were dancing.
Yeah, like I always put them together, and I was like, I can take off a month from working at Madhouse and go travel Southeast Asia. That's like my next big trip I want to do.
Yeah.
I just did Europe last year, and it was beautiful. And granted, I did miss dancing. So I would love to be able to dance and travel. That's why I think I'm still so set on a cruise ship. But going to New York City, I'm like, I don't know if I want to be in New York City being a Rockette. I would love to be a Rockette, but I don't know if I want to leave my life here for 4 months to go do that in New York City where it's cold and I don't like the cold. And yeah, it's okay to separate the two. And like, you literally said, you're like, you are doing your dream of dance right now, which was just kind of wild, because like little me would be astounded at what I have accomplished by the age of 23. And it's sometimes you just need to sit back and remind yourself that you're where you need to be, exactly where you need to be.
Yes, you're exactly where you need to be. And I think that's the kindest thing you can do for yourself, is not force some outdated dream down your throat when you don't even really want to be in New York.
You're on your own timeline. I think that's also a really thing. People just put these timelines on society, like after college, you get your 9 to 5. If you're not like the typical get 9 to 5, yada yada, you start to get married, you have a family, and it's okay to be on your own timeline. It's, if things take you a little longer, take you a little shorter, you decide you don't want to do that, you want to fully stop what you're doing and change your whole entire career, go for it. There's a regular at Madhouse who just quit her job, and she's been living her best life, just got these tickets for the Beyonce concert. Like, she's thriving, and she feels so great. And it's so inspiring to see people do that, who are okay with just letting its course take its run. Just see, did I say that correctly? I don't think I said that.
I don't know what you said. I knew what you meant.
Let its course. What is
Let its course take its run.
That's not correct.
Final answer.
But whatever, you get the point. Like, yeah, and yes, and I still do have these dreams of dancing and performing. I know I'm not done performing, but it's just what does that mean for me with traveling and dancing and teaching and performing, et cetera, et cetera? Where am I supposed to go and give myself the patience and the love that I need to remind myself that I'm okay and I will end up where I'm supposed to.
Good. I love that. And another point on that is allowing yourself to flow and not be so rigid and strict in what your goals are, what your dreams are, what you must do, because then you're just being that parent that was telling you all the things you could do. You know, yeah, you need
That's hard for me.
You gotta let it go. I think that when you can let yourself flow, that's when so many beautiful things that are meant to be pop up. Because if you have this rigid definition of who you're supposed to be, what you need to do, you don't allow space for something new and better.
It's like Ashley DeLuna's flow day.
Exactly. It's a bigger picture version of a flow day. So for those of you that missed it on the last episode, Dr. Ashley DeLuna talked about how she gives herself one flow day a week to just not plan anything and let things come up. And I think taking that exact lesson and expanding it into your whole life, career, dreams, whatever it is, giving yourself a bit of flexibility to allow things to flow in when they want to flow in, can be super impactful. And if we're looking at it again, specifically in the lens of business, a lot of really successful businesses have started as something completely different than what they are now, right? So I'm struggling to think of a specific example right now, but I know there's Stacy's Pita Chips. That's what it is. Stacy's Pita Chips. I listened to a business podcast about this specific company, but they started as a like pita or like falafel wrap stand.
I don't think I noticed. I know what company you're talking about. I don't think I've ever read the bag and read Stacy's.
Really?
Yeah, like why is it?
They're like the most popular pita chips.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but
their story is they started as just a pita wrap stand, a Euro stand, or I don't remember exactly what it was. And that founder had so much leftover bread that she would just bake it in her oven and then bring it to her stand the next day. And she really quickly realized that those were selling like crazy, just her extra dried bread, her chips, her pita chips. So she started to see really quickly that, whoa, there might be a business here that's not at all what I was intending to do, but let's see where it goes. Like that's the flow of it, you know? So she ended up obviously having an incredibly successful pita chip business that has probably sold for millions or billions of dollars, whatever it is. And then on a much smaller scale, but with Madhouse, it has very organically turned into what it is now, just based off of feedback and going with the flow and realizing what things were working, what did we love teaching, what did I like teaching. Madhouse, the idea just started as sort of high impact dance cardio, and that's it. And now we have a lot more focus on the sensuality because I realized that was what I really was craving. And then turns out a lot of other people were craving the rated R, red room, sexy stuff. And then also I never pictured choreography classes as part of the studio either. Heels classes, choreography classes, whatever it was not part of the initial vision. But staying open-minded allowed me to see eventually that that's actually a really good way to go. And that's what people are asking for. And that's what's working. And that's what I need to start offering, you know? So just giving yourself a little bit of space to pivot and be flexible, go with the flow, and you will absolutely be led down the right path.
See what happens.
Yes.
I love that. It was a great way to end.
Yay. Maybe I'll wrap it up since we had some bullet points. So let's go ahead and do a little bullet point wrap up and we'll call it a day. Thank you guys for listening. So when you're finding your passion and pursuing your dreams, we recommend these 8 steps. Number 1, give yourself all the love and encouragement. Really reprogram your brain to know that you are worthy of all your wildest dreams. Number 2, think about what did you like doing as a kid? What does your inner child crave and want from you today? Number 3, where does your brain take you when it's resting, dormant, in sort of a hypnotic state where you can just kind of let your brain flow? A lot of the times for people, that's when they're driving or just doing something where their body is physically occupied and it allows their brain to kind of travel. Number 4, what are you scared of doing? Because that is a very good indicator that you've found the right thing, and that's probably what you need to end up doing. Number 5, take that leap of faith. Once you figure it out, go for it. Number 6, take small daily steps today. I guess it makes the leap of faith a little bit more like a little trot of faith, you know? Number 7, find people who inspire you and realize that if they can do it, you can do it too. Number 8, give yourself permission to pivot and change course.
Beautiful.
And that's it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hopefully you found that helpful. Definitely let us know if there's anything else you want us to talk about. Hit us in the DMs. Hit us in anything. Hit us. Hit it. Hit it. Hit it. Hit it. Hit it from the back. Hit it from the back. Hit it from the. That's a dance that I'm doing in Red Room Dance Cardio right now.
Come take class at Madhouse.
Yeah, come take class. Join the community. We love you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, friends.
Not the applause. That's our producer, Rodrigo. Thanks, Rodrigo.
Thanks, Rodrigo.